He pulls out a grenade, pulls the pin on the grenade, with a grenade while he's getting his blood transfused, and uses that as a negotiation tactic. So Carson, I know we typically start out like the cold open with like news or something like that. We both didn't have anything. So I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about the fact that we both saw Superman again and
Yes.
how that might have changed our experience with it. Because I wasn't sure. I wanted to say something about it because it did change my experience, to be totally honest with you. But I didn't want to like have a segment for it. So I figured we could just get in here in the cold open and talk about how our experience. You saw it in 4DX. I just saw
Yeah.
it. I didn't even see it in IMAX for the second time. I just saw it in regular. And I'm just going to start out by saying I actually did enjoy the movie more on second watch through. I
Yeah.
do think that I wasn't looking at it through such a critical having to review it which was one portion, but also
Yeah.
for me, one of the things I hated the quippiness, and I'm just gonna say, I think all of my complaints still hold up, and I still stand behind them. However, that doesn't mean that I can't feel differently on my second watch through, just because now the
Yeah.
quippiness and things like that, because I know it's coming and because I expect it, I can be a little bit more forgiving on, if that
Sure.
makes sense. So that was
No, that
one of
I
the
hear
things
you.
that I noticed. Was like the quippiness didn't bother me as much.
Yeah.
I liked all the performances just as much. I think I was a little bit higher overall just as a general movie because I was able to have more fun with it. But one of the things I realized how little of things that I wanted were in this movie. Like I wanted more of Lois and Superman. I wanted like I still walked away wanting more, and I view that as not necessarily a complaint, but again, more of a comment. One thing I was very, very low on my second time, like way lower than I was the first time, the effects. I actually said in our last episode that I was really high on the effects, and I was like, oh, the effects look great. Yeah, on second watch through, I retract all of that. I think the effects are like not great, honestly. I'm not saying they're like Minecraft movie bad, but for some reason, I was just way more forgiving and did not notice it until second watch through, which I guess means that they were passable and good enough. But when I was watching it at the second time, I was like, ooh, that doesn't actually look good. Ooh, I don't like that. But
Yeah.
I also notice those things more than your average person. I'm well aware of that.
Well, I also never had any expectations for the CG in this movie. Granted, it is yes, it's James Gunn, but it's a whole new franchise. They probably aren't going to focus on that. Here's the thing, I'd rather have a little messier CG before a messier story, and that's why Superman is better than all the other Superman films combined. Yeah, the CGI might be a little messy. It's not all messy, and it's only a few. There's only a few handful sections where you're like, okay, you could probably gonna pick that off. And pick it apart and nitpick it, but also it's not the Flash either. Like the Flash is atrocious for CG,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
boring to look at. At least what you're looking at in this film is gorgeous to look at. And really, the only time I will say that I ever thought it was actually like bad special effects was 2 instances of Superman flying, and that's it. Every other time, really darn good. And it's first time is when he's fighting Hammer of Bravia. That's it. And when he's fighting off the rest of I don't know what they're called, the Peace Corps, Lexbots, Peace
Oh,
Corps,
the space corps or whatever it was.
well, yeah. When he's fighting off all of those, for the most part, everything else is about what you would expect in a superhero movie. If not, it's better than what it actually should be. I'm not saying it's Pirates of the Caribbean level, but it's really good. So those were the only scenes I actually like noticed when it came to CGI, and even on second viewing. That being said, my second viewing was very different from yours. I got my ass handed to me and gotten the shit kicked out of me. Holy hell. 40X.
How is 40X?
I cannot recommend 40X enough. It's so much fun. After you watch a movie once, like we're gonna go watch Fantastic Four next week, and I'm watching it, in IMAX first, and then for my birthday, we're actually going back and watching it in 40X because that's how much fun I had watching it. Was it like me and my friend? We sat down. We were like, first off, I showed up a little bit late to the theater, and my friend tells me he's like, they played a Fantastic Four like little test in the beginning. Yeah, we needed restraints. I'm like, what happened? He goes, you got the crap kicked out of you. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then we get to the first scene, and it starts off with that logo in the movie, and then all of a sudden when Superman drops, boom, like everything rotates and you're just shifting around. Like, what just happened? Effects are going off, pyrotechnics. I'm like, what is this? What did I just walk into? Genuinely one of the greatest experiences I've ever had watching a movie. Can you get sick watching this? Absolutely. Would I recommend this to everybody? No. But as somebody who wants to get a full immersive experience and to get something like that, there was not a moment in that movie where we didn't have a smile on our face. One, because of the movie. Two, because we were having so much fun getting thrown and thrashed around. Like sometimes it was actually hard to pay attention to the action because you're like, oh my God, I got to stay in my seat. What's going to happen if I just fly out? No, it's truly a remarkable thing to experience at least once if you've never done it. I'm not saying it's everybody's cup of tea. It's certainly not 100% my cup of tea. I'm doing it for Fantastic Four because it was fun. And, maybe on a second time, I'm like, oh, I enjoy this a lot more than I did. It's also like $30 a ticket. So I really understand if it's not somebody's thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have a 4DX theater near me. Otherwise, I probably would, actually definitely would go and see at least one 4DX movie just to see. This isn't necessarily our cold open, but talking about movie tickets, unless you have anything else to talk about your experience with Superman, did you see what happened with the Odyssey movie tickets for the 70mm?
Dropped a year early, didn't they?
And sold out immediately, like crashed all the websites, sold out immediately. Like, are we surprised? No. Is it still kind of funny? Yeah.
I'm surprised they dropped a year early. That's the only thing I'm surprised about. I'm
Yeah.
not saying they shouldn't have dropped it. I thought the earliest they would have dropped them would have been like the new year, like the start of the new year. Tickets drop, then you go. Like it is a year early. That's earlier than Oppenheimer ever did. Way earlier than Oppenheimer did. And so it's just really funny. I'm also really concerned because I don't know if I'm going to get a ticket.
70mm. Well, here's the thing. It was only 70mm IMAX. That's one of the things that I feel like a lot of people are misconstruing is a lot of people are saying, oh, it's all IMAX or all tickets. From my understanding, from the articles that I read that actually gave details, it was only the 70mm tickets that all sold out, which is unfortunate because that's the best format to watch IMAX. I don't have one near me. Your closest is in Miami, which is like a 3-4 hour drive. So it's not like you were going to see it in 40mm or 70mm anyway. But yeah, that was just kind of funny to watch.
Well, you never know. I'm a little ballsy. I could take the drive down to Miami and
not anymore. You don't have a ticket unless you want to pay on the resale market for $500.
Yeah, that sounds about good. Let's do that.
Okay, you can make your bad financial decisions.
No, but I don't know. Look, the Odyssey is going to be a good movie regardless. Nolan hasn't missed. I don't think he'll miss with it. Could it be not as good as it could be overhyped? Sure, it can be overhyped, but I'm just surprised they dropped the tickets a year early. I'm not surprised they sold out. I'm surprised they just dropped as early as they did. That's the truth.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So 4DX Odyssey tickets. We had some great WWE news. It was exciting. I'm so excited for SummerSlam. It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah. Hey, your short did pretty well. So, like I said,
that was strange.
Content.
We get a random text. So this happened, and it's like 4,500 views. I'm like, what happened? What did I? Well, at first I'm like, did I say something incredibly offhand or something? And I'm just getting flagged for it. And no, it was just the video. I was like, all right, sure, whatever.
People like wrestling, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. Not my monkey, not my circus.
I mean, you are the one who posted it.
Even though it is my circus and my monkey,
yes,
in fact.
Exactly. It is both your monkey and your circus. But anyways, what's up, Nimrods? It's your boys back with another episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast. The only podcast where your two favorite Nimrods talk all things nerdy. I'm your host for today's episode, Brandon, aka Parrotfish, here with my forever co-host,
Carson, aka Juggernaut.
And today, things got changed up a lot. I think we solidified Eddington as our review for last week's episode at the end. That is no longer the case. Neither of us have seen Eddington. However, we are going to be reviewing later than it came out, much later, but a movie that I've been wanting to talk about with Carson since I saw it. Back when we were going to review that and How to Train Your Dragon, and that would be the Phoenician Scheme.
Whoa.
I'm very excited. I don't know your thoughts on this at all.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this whatsoever. You've stayed very silent like I typically do after watching a movie. So I'm very interested in seeing where that goes. We also, before we get into that, and before I ask you how you're doing, I'm going to say this one last thing. We have a game that we're going to play. So we are going to do the game and then go into our Phoenician Scheme review just for a little bit of fun, trying something new out. I'm going to be giving Carson 10 bad movie descriptions, and he has to guess the movie. We'll see how you do. I think a lot of these are relatively easy, but they might stump you on a few. So you don't seem excited.
We were originally playing this or that, and we're talking last week. And we're like, oh, it's the big 20th episode. Let's just do a game. I don't know. Let's figure something out. And all of a sudden, Brandon, is like, yeah, let's do this or that. Great, that's easy for me. I just have to rank things. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, we're doing bad movie descriptions. Frick, so there's something at stake, and that's how well I'm actually going to be able to guess this crap.
I actually have to think. I have to
God.
put thought into this. I know. But yeah, we are gonna do the bad movie descriptions and talk about Phoenician Scheme next week. Actually, we'll talk about next week at the end of the episode. Before we get into that, Carson, how are you doing?
I'm tired. Hot for whatever reason. It's insanely hot this week, and it's the 1 week I have to be like outdoors all the time at work. So oh, fantastic. I'm doing great. Hungry. My stomach is actually rumbling. I should have had
I'm also
some
hungry. I
breakfast.
didn't eat breakfast.
All right, so that's our Phoenician Scheme review. We're gonna go get some breakfast. We'll talk to y'all later. Goodbye. Honestly, fine. Just tired, hot, all of the emotions mixed into one.
Yeah, it's been a week, that's for sure. Nothing special for me. One thing you will notice though that I will talk about instead of talking about how I'm doing is things look different. Very different, in fact. We don't have a watermark. Oh, this I think it's this way. We don't have a watermark here anymore. We have a different background because we are trying out a new recording software. Me and Carson kind of got fed up with Streamlab. I didn't like the watermark. It was nice, but we're trying something new. This allows us to be a lot more customizable. Record for however long we want in whatever way we want. So we're gonna see how that goes. But yeah, Carson, are you ready for your 10 bad movie descriptions?
No, but when do I ever get what I want? Let's just do this.
So I'm gonna start you out with what I think is a pretty easy one, just to kind of get you warmed up to the concept. Maybe it's gonna be harder than you think. I don't know. We'll find out. The way this is gonna work, if you don't know how the game is, I came up with 10 bad movie descriptions, and Carson is going to hear the movie description and then just guess what the movie is. I'm gonna give you 2 guesses because I don't want this to go on for too long. You have
Sure.
2 guesses. I'm not gonna only give you 1. I'll give you 2 guesses per movie. Are you
Okay.
ready for the first one?
Yeah.
So, Carson, in this movie, a lot of people decide to take the ice bucket challenge, and it does not go well.
Is that Titanic?
That is, in fact,
That's
Titanic.
horrible. That's no. It's worse than that's the first thing I think of. A lot of people decide to take the ice bucket challenge. Oh, that's bad. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's a real event. That's worse.
Look, man.
Is that Titanic? Like no hesitation. Is that Titanic? Oh my god. Imagine
Yep.
I got that wrong. Then it would just look really bad on me. That could have been a lot worse.
I got another kind of easy one to get us start out. Some of these I do think get quite a bit harder. A gardener goes for a long walk barefoot.
Oh, Lord of the Rings?
That is correct. Lord of the Rings.
That would make sense. funny enough, I was thinking about that, and funny enough, I was like, if they do a Lord of the Rings bad description, it's gonna have something to do with Sam being a gardener. And the moment you said, it, I was like, is that Lord of the Rings? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. Okay. All
Okay.
right.
This is where I think it gets a little bit more difficult. So let's see. I would not be able to get this whatsoever. I'm going to be totally honest with you. So I'm curious to see how you do with this. A
Okay.
tax lawyer steals a nuclear weapon and attacks an art museum on New Year's Eve.
Say it one more time.
A tax lawyer steals a nuclear weapon and attacks an art museum on New Year's Eve.
On New Year's Eve, a nuclear.
This is a hard one. You have two guesses, so you can throw something out, but I won't tell you hot or cold.
I feel like it's being too literal by saying attacks an art museum. I don't think he's actually attacking an art museum. I think there's some sort of fight that takes place in an art museum, and for whatever reason, I can't think of it.
That's like I said, I would not be able to get this one, but I threw it in there because I was like, "Ooh, this will stump him."
I'm
I
trying to
get
remember
two
what
easy
is it.
ones.
Is it Ocean's 13?
No, it is not.
Okay, because I know that they. Let me see. Attacks an art museum. Okay, one more time just for my sanity. I just want to hear this. Do it slower, slow.
A tax lawyer steals a nuclear weapon and attacks an art museum on New Year's Eve.
On New Year's Eve, attacks an art museum. Oh my god. Oh my god. What is this?
You have one more guess, Carson.
I'm gonna be wrong. I'm just throwing it out there because I'm gonna guess Now You See Me.
Where's the nuclear weapon? And now you see me.
I don't know. I took a stab. I don't know. I couldn't think of I didn't know if nuclear weapon was also misleading. Because that's the thing with bad movie descriptions. Anything in the description could
Yes.
actually be very misleading. So saying nuclear weapon, I'm like, I don't know. Oppenheimer was the only one I thought of, but what art museum did he attack with an Oppenheimer?
I mean, there's bound to be art museums in Japan. That's all I'm saying. But no, this is Ghostbusters 2.
Ghostbusters 2. Oh my, yeah, because they attacked the yep. God, I hate that movie. Have I ever talked about Ghostbusters 2 to you and how much I hate that movie? Like just on a creative level, how stupid it is.
I don't think you have.
It is one of the worst things I've ever seen Harold Ramis do ever. It was bad. Because the first one's so much fun. It's not like a picture perfect movie, but it's a lot of fun. You can watch it and enjoy yourself. The second one, you actively want to kill yourself as you're watching every frame come across the screen. So yeah, I never would have gotten that. Oh my god, that's so dumb. It's so perfect too because it makes sense. Nuclear.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, I'll
Oh
give
my
you
god.
another relatively easy one. An elderly man abducts a young overweight boy to replace his dead wife.
Up. That's up.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
clearly up. The
That
moment we said
is
old man, I
up.
was like, okay, it's got to be that. What other movie has an old man that would kidnap an overweight young boy?
See, this next one, I think is hilarious. This was the last one I put in there, and I was talking to you on the phone when I put this in the list. So I want to see. I was gonna save it for last, but I want to see how you get this because it's hilarious.
Okay.
A nun bangs her boss, renounces her faith, and flees the country. You should
Nun
know this movie.
bangs her boss. One more time. A nun bangs her boss.
A nun bangs her boss, renounces her faith, and flees the country.
Announces her faith and leaves the country. Is it right on the money? There's not really any misleading with this one. Is that?
I feel like it is a little misleading. I won't tell you in what ways.
But that's what makes it funny. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
I might have been able to get this one. But again, this is something you should know. I mean, actually, not shouldn't. You do know.
And renounces her faith and leaves the country.
There are certain things in there that I definitely would have picked up on. I'm not going to tell you which ones to focus on, but again, you have 2 guesses.
That first one's gonna be, I can't even think of a movie with a nun in it.
Oh, I know some movies with nuns, and this movie does in fact have a nun. That's not misleading.
Is it The Nun?
No.
No. I don't. We can count that, but I know that's not. That was just for the joke. Is it The Nun? Renounces her faith and leaves the country. Give me a hint in regards to like what topic is this movie? Is it action, comedy, drama?
See, if I give you that, it's gonna give it away because there's only so
Okay.
few movies that are in this genre. I will say, to my understanding, this did not start out as a movie, but it was released in a different medium before that, and it might not be the obvious medium.
Okay. It may not be the obvious. Perchance. Could it be Black Widow?
No. Is
I
that
thought
your
the
second
nun part
guess?
that would technically be my second guess, yeah, because I joked with the nun, but
No.
it technically counts.
So what I meant by the obvious median is the obvious median to me is books. You take book and
Yeah.
you turn it into movie. This is a musical. This is The Sound of Music.
I even thought Sound of Music, but I was like, there's no way there's no way. I'm like, that can't be. That's too obvious. I didn't pick it because I was like, it's got to all be misleading. No, that was literally one of my first thoughts. I was like, it's got to be Sound of Music. But I'm like, there's no way. Oh my god! Now I just feel bad because I should have easily gotten that, and I
Yeah,
technically I did. I just didn't say anything because I didn't think it
I'm
was
shocked
possible.
you didn't because I felt like I could have gotten that one.
No,
But
again, it was literally like the first or second one I thought of. I was like, it has to be Sound of Music, and I didn't pick it because I was like, that's too obvious. There's no way it's Sound of Music. It's got to be something more misleading. Like the nun can't actually be a nun. It's got to be something else. That's what's hard about this game is that it just constantly throws you through a loophole of, oh my god, go
yep.
and you don't know what's actually being accurately told to you and what's not. Oh my god! All right, let's keep
Yeah.
going down the rabbit hole. Oh my
Okay,
god.
next one. A bullied kid with a birth defect proves people only are nice to him when they need something.
With a birth defect?
Yeah, a bullied kid with a birth defect proves people are only nice to him when they need something. This is one of my favorites out of the
Is
list.
is this Wonder?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Wonder was a 2017 movie with Owen Wilson and I think Julia Roberts, but that's literally basically the plot of the movie. I'm pretty sure. One more time, just so I can hear it again slowly.
A bullied kid with a birth
Mhm,
defect proves people
mhm.
are only nice to him when they need something. You're gonna love this one. I know it.
Oh my god.
This one isn't so obvious. I'll give you that. It's not as obvious as I felt like Sound of Music was.
Okay. Well, maybe that's why
But
I'm like
once you hear it, you'll kick yourself if you don't guess it.
bullied kid with a birth defect. When people want something nice. You know, this is something that I've seen, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is something that I've seen. Okay.
Mhm.
Can you give me a decade that it's from? Do you know?
Oh, I can't because here's the thing. This is another one that did not start out as a movie.
Okay. Okay.
Like this is
But
a tale or
okay. Okay.
or a song or something like that that got
Sure. No. Yeah. Okay.
I just gave you way too much. If you don't get it now,
No, I'm not going to. I can already tell you now. I'm thinking about this too in depth. I'm like, okay.
I can give you one last hint, but it'll give it away.
No, I'm gonna just take a stab and take a guess. Is it Harry Potter?
Nope. That's actually a really good guess, though. That's a really good guess. No,
That
I'm gonna
was
give you
another one I
one more
thought of.
hint. This does not count. You got this one wrong. But I want to see if you can get it after this. It is a holiday movie.
Birth defect. Holiday movie. I'm trying to think of a. Oh, The Grinch.
Nope.
No, that
Carson, this
doesn't
is
leave.
Rudolph. Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Oh,
Reindeer.
that's so dumb. That's so dumb. I genuinely never would have gotten that. I never would have thought in a million years Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer would have made it on this list. Oh my god, kid with a birth defect. Oh, that makes so much
Yep.
sense though.
Yep. I said this is one of my favorites.
Oh my god. All right. Yeah, I'd chalk that up to a loss.
So
That's a
I'm counting
loss.
them up now, even though you aren't done.
I've
I'm
gotten
gonna
at
try and
least
tally up
2
which ones
right.
you have gotten, which is
I've
not
gotten
a
at
lot,
least
to
2,
be
I think.
honest.
No. Well,
Yeah,
I tell you what,
no,
I
because
told you
you
this
got
car.
3, because you got the first 2, which is Titanic and Lord of the Rings, and
Yep.
you got Up, but you did not
Yep.
get Sound of Music or Rudolph
I should have gotten
or
Sound of Music.
Ghostbusters.
I was
You
never gonna
should
get
have gotten Sound of
Ghostbusters.
Music. I'm disappointed in you for that one,
No,
Mr.
I should have just said it because I was like, I jokingly said none. I shouldn't have said that. I should have
Okay.
just saved it.
I have a few more.
Okay.
This one is should be easy. I'll give you an easy one after Rudolph. A
Okay.
curious space crew can't help themselves when they encounter an all-you-can-eat egg buffet.
Is that Alien?
It is indeed Alien.
I've been saying that. That's really all you can eat egg buffet. Okay, so alien egg? Like I'm like that's a weird description because that's also like that's a really bad movie description in the sense of that doesn't at all fit the movie at all. The only reason I got it is because you said egg buffet. I'm like,
Mhm.
huh? I'm guessing alien. Other
Okay,
than that, I would have no idea.
we have 3 more,
Okay.
and I'm gonna see which one out of these 3 I wanna give you. Okay, this one's
Okay.
also super, super easy, but I wanna know if you can guess. Actually, I'm not gonna say anymore because 'cause it'll give it away.
Okay.
A whip-wielding vigilante with a death wish confronts two feuding orphans, all wearing animal costumes.
A whip wielding vigilante.
I'll read you the description one more time because I did kind of fub it a little bit. A whip-wielding vigilante with a death wish confronts two feuding orphans, all wearing animal costumes.
If I had to guess, that's Batman, but I don't know where the whip would come from unless it's Catwoman.
There's a lot of Batmans out there. You have to be more specific.
Oh, I hate you. Batman. Batman Returns.
This is indeed Batman Returns.
Okay. That took me a second. I was like, whip wielding vigilante. That's a good one to go straight with. Like making Catwoman the main character to kind of help cover up the description because that's good. I like that.
Okay, I'm gonna give you an easy one, and then I don't know how easy both of these are, so
We'll
I'll
find
just give
out.
you this one, and then I have
We'll
another one.
find out.
I have 2 more. A guy and his imaginary friends take on the finance sector.
A guy and his imaginary friends take on the finance sector.
I know you've seen this movie. I will give you another hint. I have not seen this movie, and you know I
Okay,
have not seen this movie.
I know you haven't seen this movie. The first one I think of, and if you haven't seen this movie, this is really going to spoil this movie because if you genuinely don't
Unfortunately,
know this,
unfortunately, this is a movie that I have most of the twists spoiled for, so
is it Fight Club?
it is indeed Fight Club.
I was about to say, I was about to say, if it's not Fight Club, I just spoiled the biggest twist in the entire film
Yeah,
because I also know you haven't seen
unfortunately,
that.
I already knew that about Fight Club. I wish
Yeah,
I didn't. It's honestly, to be totally honest with you, it's one of the reasons I still haven't watched Fight Club. I know it's still a really good movie, but I know a lot of what people enjoy about it is the twists and turns and the mystery surrounding it. Because I know all of that already, because people don't know how to keep their mouth shut. Like, I knew what happened in Fight Club before I was even old enough to watch Fight Club. That's the problem. Is people can be like,
Well,
"Oh, you should have just watched her."
yeah,
Like, I wasn't old. Like, my parents were not strict, but obviously, you know my parents and how they are with like
sure.
R-rated movies.
Yeah.
So I could not watch Fight Club, and so
Well, I can
I got it
recommend
spoiled for
7.
me.
I can recommend 7 to you because I know you won't have gotten that spoiled. I can recommend 6 Sense as far as like twists go, but I guarantee you already know what the 6 Sense ending is. So
So I'm going to give you another one. And this is a long one, but I'm only going to give you part of it because I feel like I'll give you the second portion if you can't get it off the first, because I feel like the portion I'm alleviating will give it away.
okay.
A naked time traveler becomes the ultimate babysitter.
I already know this off the bat. If you had said time traveler, it would have been completely different, but you had to add the naked part of it. This is Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
This is just Terminator, but I'll give you tournament like I'll give that to you.
Why?
Um
I'm actually curious. Oh, because Kyle, yeah. Nope,
I'll,
it
I'll
is
I'll give
Terminator.
it to you. I know I made you be more specific with the Batman one. I'll give this one to you because I know that the plot is like relatively the same throughout them. Um,
Well, because the plot of the first one is Schwarzenegger is the villain. He's the thing coming
mhm,
after the woman who has the kid who leads the rebellion. And then in the second one, it's Schwarzenegger protecting the girl and the kid who's born, and it's something else coming after them. So that's kind of an unfair description because it's like it could be either one. You'd have to really pay attention, and no, that's a good movie though. If you have not seen
and
Terminator, watch
the,
Terminator.
the
I it's really good.
the portion I left out is the full description is a naked time traveler with an endless supply of one-liners becomes the ultimate
Okay.
babysitter.
Okay. Yeah. That would have. Yeah. Yeah. No, that be. Come on, man.
So Carson,
Uh
you want to know your grand total of how many you got right and wrong?
I know I got more right, which
You
I'm
did.
happy
You
with.
got
But go ahead
out
and
of
give me.
10, you got 7 right. You only missed
Okay,
The
I'm content
Sound
with
of
that.
Music, Rudolph, and Ghostbusters 2, which, to be
In
honest,
my head,
some of those I'm a little
yeah.
surprised by.
In my head, I'm giving myself 8, or in my heart, I'm giving myself 8 because I guessed Sound of Music. I just
You
didn't say it.
say Sound of Music out loud. That is all I'm gonna say.
No, and that's why it's on me. That is why it's on me. But I totally should have gotten that. But happy 20 episodes. When we get to 30 episodes, I'll play something stupid with you.
Yeah, that's
we're
fair.
gonna play.
That is
We're,
fair.
we're gonna do a bunch of blind rankings, and it's all gonna be things that you are really gonna get mad at when I make sure that you blind rank something.
Ugh. Just like the ones that I still need to post on short form. I've just been so busy posting other things. Maybe I'll post
check
one
out the
this week.
check out the short form content at Nerdy
Yes,
Nimrods, TikTok,
I'm reviewing way
Instagram,
too
YouTube.
many anime, and Carson pops in every once in a while.
Every once in a while, I do remember like yesterday I was I literally was sitting in bed and I was like watching Phoenician Scheme and I stopped and went, I didn't post a short yesterday. Why didn't? Oh yeah, because we didn't see Eddington.
Yeah,
It's like, oh no, wait, that's right. I just forgot to do it because we never saw Eddington. So I'm
dude,
like,
I'm
I'm gonna go
honestly
throw something together.
I've watched some reviews for Eddington just because I realized we weren't gonna see it, and I wanted to see if it was something that was worth going to see on my own time. I'm just gonna say, I am so glad we are not reviewing Eddington right now.
So
Apparently, it
yeah,
is not good.
no, it's not that it's not good, and so this is because I've seen Ari Aster's films before.
Mhm.
His most recent one was called Beau is Afraid, which isn't. Here's the thing: I can't say that his films are 100% bad. They're very artsy. This is actually a good topic because if we're talking about a Wes Anderson movie, Ari Aster and Wes Anderson are very similar in various ways. They're both very artsy people. Ari Aster, if you didn't know, did Hereditary and he did Midsummer, two phenomenal films, both very psychological horror and whatnot, or thrillers. I don't know what you want to call them exactly. Those films are both really well done. Do I watch them all the time? No. I actually can't because sometimes his films can be very disturbing. Beau is
Mhm.
Afraid really is disturbing. And it's not in a good way because it's just all over the place. And so when Eddington was announced, I wasn't really on board with it because of how Beau is Afraid did. And I talked to some people, like I talked to one of my friends who really liked Beau is Afraid and thought it was one of the greatest movies of the year. I'm not going to argue that, because if you're somebody who really enjoys something artsy, you're really going to enjoy this film. But it's a little too out there for me, especially because the way he is in Beau is Afraid specifically, he really just like, in one moment these people are completely fine and then they're out to kill him, or there's a literal scene, it's a plot point of the movie, Brandon, in which he has not had sex, and okay, this is going to get graphic for the podcast, so I'm going to dumb it down a little bit, is in the moment he's doing the deed. There's a fly on my monitor. Be gone. Goodbye. Thank you. Go by. Get off the monitor. What are you? Thank you. He's in the moment. He's doing the deed, and his gun goes off, and it kills the woman who he is whatever
engaged with.
Yes, and it turns out she's already been dead this whole time. And you're really like, it's so out there. The whole film is so out there. I've also never seen more schlong in a movie than that film, and I'm very confused as to why that was even a thing. So it's a bizarre film, and I can appreciate the idea of it because it's ballsy. It takes a lot of guts to make a film like that. But that being said, if your film doesn't work, please piss off.
See,
I didn't need to see that. And Eddington, I hear, is just kind of similar. It might be a little better, but it's kind of similar in the same regard.
well, see, from what I heard, and we'll get into the actual Phoenician Scheme review here in a second, but from what I heard about the movie, the main complaint people had wasn't that it was weird. It was that it was very clearly supposed to be making a statement, like a political statement, and it just didn't. Like it dropped the ball at every turn. And that is what a lot of people weren't happy with. They're like, if you're gonna push the bar so high and clearly try to make a statement, but not end up actually like making a statement, that was what people kind of had a problem with.
I hear what you're saying, and I honestly, there's a thing. I think I've maybe even talked about this on the podcast before. In 2021, pretty much after everything came back after COVID, or COVID was still like around and things were filming, TV shows had a horrible idea of, let's bring COVID into our show, which is the worst possible situation, because people go to movies and television to escape their lives. They want to escape everything that's surrounding them. And at the time, COVID was the biggest thing, and it wasn't exactly a fun thing to go through. So why on earth would you want to remind people, while in their own favorite show where they can escape into a different reality, that thing is existing and that's still real?
See,
Brooklyn Nine-Nine did it, and it sucked horribly. That final season is one of the worst seasons ever because of the fact that they brought COVID into the fold.
See, I don't necessarily have I've talked about this not on the podcast before, but like online and with other friends. I personally don't have a problem when you bring politics into a movie, but it has to meet multiple conditions. One, it cannot feel forced and unnecessary.
Yes.
That is what Brooklyn Nine-Nine felt like to me. It felt forced and unnecessary.
Yeah.
That was my reason for not liking it in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Other conditions that you have to meet. I'm not going to like go here and go on a whole tirade or anything, but another one is I feel like you should make it clear that that is going to be a plot point, because like you said, a big thing with movies is that people use them as escapism. Same thing with TV, same thing with whatever. However, I do feel like it can be like important to also movies and in media in general have a important role to play to act as a timestamp for the era that they are made in. And one of the ways to do that is to incorporate modern politics into it. However, you have to do it tastefully. It cannot be forced. And I feel like people need to know that that's what's going to happen before they get into it. If I sit down to watch a Barbie movie, for instance, I'm expecting to turn my brain off and have a fun time with a Barbie movie. If I go into the Barbie movie and they try and force down a political agenda onto you, That's not why I'm watching the Barbie movie. I'll go
Yeah.
watch a different movie from a different director, like Oppenheimer, for instance. Like Oppenheimer's trying to make a statement. I'll go watch Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer has a political message behind it. At least I feel like it does.
It does.
And I love Oppenheimer, but that's because I knew that's what I was going to get going into that movie. Something
Sure.
like a Barbie movie, I don't want that out of it. I am going
Right.
for that escapism. That's like going to watch a Mickey Mouse movie and they incorporate the BLM movement into
Right.
it. Like I don't want to get too political, but like whether you agree with that movement or not, it feels out of place and forced.
I don't necessarily disagree with you as far as like agendas being pushed and whatnot, but that's what Eddington kind of is too. Like I heard people say that, and that's honestly Ari Aster as a filmmaker. He has done that before, and he will continue to do it. The issue is, if it sucks, it sucks, and that's also what I'm hearing is both
You're
Rose
kind of
afraid.
the statement by making it bad.
Right. If it's at the sacrifice of a good film, what does it matter if you're making the statement if nobody's going to watch your film? Because then that's all your film's going to be remembered for in a negative context, mind you. Again, Oppenheimer is really good because the film itself is also really good, but then it makes that statement. And Barbie, to a certain extent, it's kind of does the same thing. But Barbie is really good. Like I'm not going to say it's bad. It's just not as good as Oppenheimer. There was a clear winner in that fight. There's a very clear winner in that fight. But Barbie kind of does the same thing to a certain extent, where it's like it does have a message. In a certain extent, it does kind of earn it. It just doesn't do it as well as this, but it's not like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It doesn't just fall off the face of the earth and whatnot. So that's a mini rant about Eddington and really just Ari Aster as a filmmaker. Let's talk about a different artsy director and an artsy filmmaker who is, repeatedly really, really good, really awesome. Wes Anderson's Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and let you go first on this one. I want to hear your thoughts because I feel like I have, that I enjoyed this movie. I've said it multiple times. That's why I wanted to talk about this movie. So you kind of know my general thoughts. I do not know your general thoughts on this movie. So I'm very curious to hear if you enjoyed, if you didn't enjoy, and whatnot.
So the thing with Wes Anderson movies, and I kind of have to accept that when he's a filmmaker, cinematography wise is probably the greatest director ever, maybe rivaling Nolan, and that's the only director I would say who he could actually rival.
And
maybe
very
Scorsese,
different styles.
It's a very different style, but he's a very big artsy director in the sense of it's very all his films are very fast-paced and quick to the point. Similar to like last week when we talked about Superman, how you don't really get a chance to breathe. You also don't get a chance to breathe here.
Oh, yeah.
That is sometimes can be in the movie's detriment, but also not really, because you know exactly what type of film you're getting when you go to a Wes Anderson movie. You have to expect that at this point from him. And that's why films like Fantastic Mr. Fox and Grand Budapest Hotel are so good. Because first off, at the time, that was a more revolutionary style of directing, was his type of directing. And so it was really well done, and people were blown away by it. Today, you're still blown away by it. But we have films like The French Dispatch and Asteroid City, and now Phoenician Scheme, which I think is the best one of the three of them. I really didn't like French Dispatch that much. That's just this is like a brief history with my Wes Anderson. I didn't like French Dispatch that much. It wasn't bad. It just didn't blow me away. That's also because all of his filmmaking tactics and styles have been around for a while, so you kind of lose the pizzazz of, oh yeah, this is, different. Not that it loses its pizzazz, but you lose something after the wow first shock factor that you usually get.
Yeah.
And then Asteroid City came out, and I honestly I never wanted to revisit that film. I just didn't like Asteroid City. I understand if people like it. I don't criticize you if you like it. I think that it's a perfectly acceptable movie. It's just not one that I constantly revisit of his. Phoenician Scheme is one I would revisit easily. This is his funniest movie in years.
Oh, yeah.
This is straight up a comedy, and I love every second of that. The way he writes his characters here, and this is just how he writes his characters in general. If you're talking about like the greatest representation of like a real life person, his films are not the way to go. These characters do not act like real people. you know,
Yeah.
you watch Marriage Story, for example, which is Scarlett Johansson, which is why I'm using the example. And, you know, she's arguing with Adam Driver. It's a failing marriage. You believe every second of that. You can't believe everything that Wes Anderson throws at the
Yeah.
screen. But that's also like, that's not how he writes his characters to be the most believable. And sometimes, you know, that does create a hard, you know, heart to heart moment, because he can't really do that when his characters aren't as real as they should. Again, you know that going into a Wes Anderson film. So all the criticisms I'm saying are just things that, like, you know, he never does, but he also doesn't have to. This is the type of film that it is, and so this is what it's getting at. And I'm only saying these things because this is what I prefer to have in a film. I like to have a heart-to-heart moment. Like, I prefer directors who take the opportunity to slow down and have that deep connecting moment. You don't get that in Phoenician Scheme. It is purely a comedy. The very closest thing you get is with Michael Cera's character, when, you know, he's revealed to be the spy for this person, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a double agent. That's the closest thing you get. But even then, it's played for laughs and comedy to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But as a whole, Phoenician Scheme, I love it. I could actually watch it again. I think it's really good. I think that it's his best movie in a while, and I don't know if it's just because of the way he wrote it or the way it's acted. There's just something about it where I'm like, I really enjoyed that. And it's funny because when this film came out, I remember people saying it's exactly like Asteroid City. If you liked Asteroid City, you're going to like this. If you didn't like Asteroid City, you're not going to like it. I'm in a different camp where I didn't like Asteroid City, and for whatever reason, I loved this movie. I don't know why. This film easily shot up into my number 4 for the year. Like, it wasn't even like close. Granted, I even said that when I ranked the movies like a couple weeks ago. I was like, there's a good chance after I watch Phoenician Scheme, it's gonna shoot up there. I love it. I think it's artsy. I think it's very Wes Anderson. I think if you like his films, you're going to love it. It's similar to like I know I keep rambling, but it's similar to like a Tarantino. You're not gonna necessarily love a Tarantino film. You might like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, but, you know, when you get to, like, you know, Hateful Eight, where the story's good, but it's like unnecessarily graphic or unnecessarily explicit, it's like, okay, you either like this film because you like Tarantino, or, you know,
You don't
you
walk
just
out of
don't
that
like this
movie,
movie.
like, feeling good about yourself in the world,
No.
essentially.
But at the same time, it's like I'm saying about a Wes Anderson. You don't hate a Wes Anderson movie. It's really hard to hate a Wes Anderson movie. Similar to how it's hard to hate a Tarantino movie. You can prefer it over something else significantly, or you might never watch again, or you just don't like it as much. But you're never gonna hate a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
But I had a great time with this movie. Brandon, I know we've talked about this a little bit. Give me your thoughts on it, because I don't know. I have a lot I want to say about this film.
So, I'm gonna be coming at this from a perspective that this is the first full Wes Anderson movie I've ever seen. I went back and I looked at his repertoire just to double check that I hadn't, like, accidentally, like, oh, I forgot, I didn't know this was Wes. This is the first fully Wes Anderson movie I've ever seen. And so I knew he was an eccentric filmmaker. That is one thing I did know going in. So I that was the only thing I really had in mind when going to see this movie. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, I've seen Wes Anderson, so I know what I'm in for. Like, I did not know what I was in for. I knew I was in for a very different type of experience. That was about it.
Mhm.
And that is exactly what I got, and I loved every second of it. Like, it makes me
Yeah.
want to go back and watch the rest of Wes Anderson's filmography, because I not only did I enjoy, like, just the general plot and things like that, I loved how unapologetic this movie's, like, just
Oh, yeah.
cinematography, its
Yeah.
humor, its storytelling. It is There are jokes in here that absolutely do not work, but I feel like the movie itself knows that you're not going to laugh at these movies,
Right.
and it holds on them to the point in which you can't help but laugh and feel uncomfortable. Like, there are
Right.
multiple moments like that where they just say something and you're just like, huh? It reuses jokes, but the reused jokes never get old. Like, one of the biggest
Yeah.
examples is the grenade joke. Every time he shows up to a new location, here, have a grenade. And he just says it so offhandedly. And
It's like, what?
yeah. And here's the thing. That's the thing that you were talking about at the beginning of like Wes Anderson clearly from this one movie does not necessarily make characters that are the believable characters that you're going to connect with on a personal level until the end, honestly. And I know I'm going to jump around a lot and I'm going to just jump to the end of my review. I feel like this movie had a perfect ending. I did not
Oh yeah,
know where this movie was going beat to beat. Like, I don't think anyone could have known every time that they switched perspectives what that perspective was going to be and what you were going to get. The movie kind of, I don't want to say switches genres every time it switches to a different perspective, but every single section where they switch and it goes like, oh, now we're going to go to this friend or this cousin or this whatever, you do not know what you're going to get. They're all different lengths. They all have different
yeah,
celebrities in them. And I loved that. So when it came to trying to be like, how is he going to end this movie? I had no idea. I was like, where is this going? And I
yeah,
think that is one of my only like it was a complaint while watching the movie, and then when we got to the end, it no longer became a complaint. As I'm sitting there going, I'm having so much fun watching this. How the hell do you end a movie like this? Like, do you just end
yeah,
abruptly? Like, oh, the world is safe. Like, there's no big moment that you can get to. And then he pulls it off in a way that I'm like, this is the only logical way to have ended this movie. And I love that I'm just okay with it. I could not have necessarily guessed it, but then I'm like, looking back, yeah, this makes sense. This is the only way you could have taken this
yeah.
crazy, wacky, insane world that you have and end off this story. It is a
Sure,
very stacked cast. I feel like there are a lot of insanely standout performances, which is really
I
funny
agree.
because they're all played so flat. Like
Yes,
most of the characters in this movie, I mean, talk about Scarlett Johansson because you brought her up. Her character, this is the flattest performance she's ever given, but it works so well for what
yes,
they're trying to achieve.
yes.
Like when you bring in actors like Bryan Cranston, I don't know what to expect when you bring in Bryan Cranston. He was hilarious.
Oh
And
my
I'm not
god,
saying obviously like Bryan Cranston best known for Breaking Bad, but he's also done other things for comedy wise and things like that.
well, he started off as a comedy man before he changed to Breaking Bad. Like he was that even like before Breaking Bad when like when it was announced, it was oh the dad from Malcolm in the Middle is going to be playing like a big
Yeah.
crime boss. What show is this going to be? And it's a drama. What is this? You know. I actually wrote down in my notes because I started to take notes at the beginning. I was like, I don't think I need to take notes. And then I started taking notes. And then I got so immersed into it, I stopped taking notes about like 3/4 through the movie. Um, but I literally wrote Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston, best
Yeah,
parts of the movie. Thank
that's
you.
what I was gonna say is having Bryan Cranston play off of Tom Hanks and in
Oh my
their
god.
dynamic together was so elite. Like that was the first kind of like snippet, I guess, is what I'll call them. I don't know, like section snippet of the movie where you realize what the rest of this movie is going to be like. It's a
Yeah.
clip show essentially, but
Yeah.
it's a long form clip show. And this was the first one with the basketball game. And I also love how they end it to where it isn't clear who won the bet, but you kind of put two and two together what
You can
happened
put two
and
and two
it
together to get what happened.
and
Yeah.
and it was just such a like perfect way to introduce you to the concept of what the rest of this movie is going to look like. Because in the build
Sure.
up to this movie, you have a general idea of what the story is, but you don't get a good idea of how that story is going to be told. And then you cut to the Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks scene, and you're like, oh, so this is what we're in for. And I was so hooked immediately, just off the
Oh my god.
wackiness. Again, the cinematography, one thing that I heard is the only reason Wes Anderson was able to make this film with the one of the most stacked casts of the year,
Oh,
maybe
oh yeah.
cinema history. You have Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, Scarlett Johansson. You have I'm gonna pull up the cast list because I'm definitely forgetting names. You have I mean Michael Cera. Like you have a
Yeah.
stacked cast. You have Benedict Cumberbatch as your main villain, Willem Dafoe as
Yeah.
one of the weirdest characters in the entire
Yeah.
movie that fits so well for Willem Dafoe.
We'll talk about it later because
Um,
that's honestly that's one of my only complaints I have with this movie, and we'll
okay.
get to that.
I'm
We'll get
not
to that.
surprised. But we'll get to that later. But yeah, the only way that he was able to afford this movie is because all of his sets, what you see on the screen is the only thing that's there. Like when you see a
Yeah.
top down of him in the bathtub, that is the only, like, there's no additional set, there's no nothing. When you see a square box, because this is like a square movie, the
Oh,
only thing present there is what is inside of that square box. So he is
yes.
very minimalist in his set designs, in his construction. So he was able to save money. And then also, that stacked cast is not in the movie for very long. Again, you have a lot of them, but because this is a clip show movie, you are skipping
Yeah.
through. So I think I heard somewhere that Scarlett Johansson agreed to be in this movie for like, I think it was like $90,000. It was like absolutely nothing compared to what she would typically charge, being that she's now the highest grossing film star of
Yeah.
all time or whatever, at least
Sure.
currently. Um,
Sure.
but
Well,
he
and
was
also
able
I
to
feel
get
like,
her because not
yeah,
only because he's Wes Anderson as well, that also helps, is people
right.
want to be in a Wes Anderson
Mm,
movie because he is so well renowned for his filmography. But again, he's able to save money everywhere else so he can sink the additional funding into the cast and get
sure.
spectacular performances that, again, I haven't seen every single filmography of all of these actors before, but the ones that I have, this felt the most different from anything they've ever performed before, with the exception of
Sure.
maybe Willem Dafoe, because Willem Dafoe just always likes to do weird things, and I love that about him. But
Defoe loves making movies, and I don't think he cares what they're if they're good or bad. He's just gonna do them because he like if it's a role
yeah,
he wants to play, he's gonna play it.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. But yeah, I've kind of rambled on more than just beyond my initial thoughts of the movie, but I've also talked about my initial thoughts of the movie before. So we'll just go ahead and start the back and forth on this.
yeah, I
I
think
was gonna say spoiler warning. We kind of forgot to. We've already spoiled most things, but this is a movie that there's nothing to spoil. There really isn't. It's
no,
the
it's
enjoyment
been
of the
out for weeks
movie.
too.
Correct. It's been out for like what, 2 months almost.
Yeah,
The enjoyment of this movie is not necessarily in the story, even though I do like the story of this movie.
but it's simple. It's a simple
It,
story,
yeah,
objectively.
exactly. It is. And if you know where this movie goes, like, again, the one big thing for me is I didn't know how they were going to end the movie, and that was a big shock to me,
Yeah,
making sense retroactively. Um, but other than that, I feel like there's not a bunch of spoilers, but we'll go ahead and throw it up here, even though we've already spoiled stuff. Spoiler warning,
um,
watch the movie. I enjoyed it. Carson.
the moment I knew what kind of movie I was getting into, and like I knew this was gonna be a really funny movie, was after the plane, the guy blew up in the plane, that back door opened, the first assassination attempt happens, plane crashes, and you go into the heaven slash purgatory slash dream sequence, whatever you want to call it. The moment I knew I was going to really enjoy this movie was the news reporter standing there, and he's like, "Oh, this person died, but he saved me." Oh no, wait, nope, he's alive. He's right there, and he just walked in. He just walks into shot. I'm like, nope, nope. That's funny. That's great. Thank you, Wes Anderson. That is really
Yep.
clever and really funny. Um, I think let's start with a back and forth about Benicio del Toro because first off, he's a great actor. I love him in almost
Mhm.
everything he does. So good here. And I
Oh,
know he's the most normal out of all the characters. Like I would believe that this could be a real person. Of all the characters, he's the most believable. It's hard to say that considering it's a film about really non-believable characters, but
yeah.
I could believe him the most, I feel like. He's the
Interesting.
really
Okay.
only character in this movie who I'm like, oh, that's a clear-cut arc. Like I see his arc from start to finish. You
Mhm.
start off with him, he's kind of a loner. He pushes his kids away. He pushed what is essentially his only daughter away. She's now a nun and whatnot, or becoming a nun. And then you cut to the end and he's having dinner and he's actively like he's having dinner with his boys and his daughter and Michael Sierra. But he's also, he's praying, like he somebody who didn't really necessarily believe in religion. And you don't really see the clear change, especially because this is like a very sequenced movie. You know, it's more like, oh, you learn things that happened, like the basketball thing. Like you can pretty much put together who won that, what happened in the end,
Yeah.
even though you didn't exactly see it. You don't exactly see where he changed, but you can believe that he changed because of everything that had been set up before it. And you know, it's not like a big groundbreaking, you know, oh, I was so like overwhelmed with emotions because, oh, he's eating dinner with his kids. I was like, oh, that's a cute detail. I really like that. Good job, Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
But you know, it's all in Del Toro's acting, and his reoccurring line of "me myself, I feel very safe." I'm like, that's funny. Please include that as much as possible. When he one of my favorite jokes. I took a note of this because I'm like, this is funny. Is how he just randomly drops the line of, "Yeah, I bought Timmy a crossbow."
Yep.
he's a really good shot, and that's it. I'm like, you're not gonna do anything with that. He's firing a flaming arrow at you. And
Yeah.
then he goes upstairs,
Yeah.
takes the crossbow. No, but then he's holding the crossbow, and he hears the door open, and he just turns around and shoots the door. I'm like, what if you hit your kid? What the heck? You know, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just fun. It's a weird humor, but I loved every second of that. And Del Toro eats every second he has up on screen. It's so well done. It's so well acted. Is it going to win Best Actor at the Oscars? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There are so many better performances this year. I promise you that will get it before he does. I would want him to get it, but I feel like there's just better performances that are going to happen this year that somebody else is going to get it.
Well, we just had, what was it? The Emmy. That was what should have been our cold open. Was, I believe it's the Emmy nominations came out.
Yeah, I didn't fully see what it was, but I know that the Penguin and Severance was like a clean sweep.
Penguin, Last of Us, Severance, Andor got a lot, which I'm really happy about. Andor got a lot, which I'm really happy about. But anyways, off topic. Yeah, no, I think that, again, I kind of already said this, but it is a very dry humor.
Yeah.
But there are wacky moments in it, and it's not necessarily that the humor itself is dry; it's the delivery is dry. But that's what makes it so funny. Is you'll have characters that are explaining the wackiest things in the world, kind of like when Michael Cera's character reveals that he's a spy or whatever. It is done in the most melatonin, dry way possible.
Right.
But it's hilarious. You don't really get a goofy, wacky, insano moment until the end, when you're having the back and forth with Benedict Cumberbatch's character, the brother or cousin or whatever. That moment is where you get into kind of the wacky zaniness, but it kind of works as an end to the movie and shows you, I don't know, kind of shows you how the movie progressed over time, where I don't want to say it gets wackier over time necessarily, but again, like, I think another one of my favorite scenes that I just found so like dry humor wise was when they're on I can't remember if it was a submarine or a battleship, but they're having the blood transfusion.
Yeah. And they're having this whole scene.
And then, if I remember correctly, again, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, he pulls out a grenade, pulls the pin on the grenade. With a grenade while he's getting his blood transfused, and uses that as a negotiation tactic. And that's where the grenades kind of come into play for the first time in a major way. And I love that. I found that so hilarious.
He's just sitting there like, it's a business tactic. You're killing yourself. That's a business tactic. I'm like, what? Yeah. It makes no. Oh my God. It's so dry, but it's so funny. And I don't know. The relationship that I think Del Toro, I don't know what the actress's name. I don't even know if I've seen her in anything else. I couldn't figure it out.
I think from what I heard, this was her first movie, and it's Mia Tresplatin. I've definitely screwed up that last name.
I don't know, but Del Toro and Mia is like whole connection in the movie. I believed their connection, funny enough, as much as it isn't like for the characters that Wes Anderson set up, I believe the connection that those two characters had, and I actually wanted more of that in a certain extent. I love
things, but nothing that we would have seen.
Okay, I figured, because I hadn't recognized her from anything, and even when the name came across, was like, who? But I believed every second that they were on screen having dialogue together. I thought it was funny. It made sense. But everything that they were actively doing it intentionally pushed the plot forward, but I feel like you also don't recognize that it's actually doing it again because it's in like the I don't know what you said earlier, but it's like in the scenic, like, it goes in bits, similar to like
Yeah.
a typical Wes Anderson movie. It just worked for me. I really appreciated that. Let me, because I already kind of talked about it in the very beginning. I'm gonna say my first and only real negative with this movie, and it's just because I didn't get it. If you did and you explained it to me, it might make it easier. What were the purgatory, heaven, dream ish sequences? I didn't understand them or why they were important to the movie at all.
So I definitely did not understand them like, especially as they were happening. I think for me, retrospectively looking back, I still don't fully get it, and I don't know if I'm getting the wrong message out of it. I think a lot of it though was weighing his character, and kind
That's
of
what I'm
like the big
thinking.
question
Yeah,
throughout the whole story is like, is he a good person? Is he a person worth saving? Is he
sure.
going to get into heaven? He's almost died so many times, because the first time we see it is when he basically, like, I think at the beginning of the movie, he was at the gates of heaven or hell. He was at that intermediary purgatory
Right.
stand when he
Purgatory. Yeah.
fell out of the airplane. And
Yeah.
then we kind of have flashes back and forth. And this is the thing that I don't fully get. Was that like happening throughout the course of the movie, or was all of
Yeah.
that just flashes to what happened and how he got out of
Like,
the
see,
original?
here's how they should have done it, because they didn't do it like this. In the beginning, it's the plane crash, you go to purgatory, you have the scene, oh, you're not a good man. And then, it's at random bits it comes back. It's not like after, he's experienced another close to death type of scenario. It's just random points in the movie, like, oh, this scene ended, let's throw this in here. Like, why not after he got shot? Like, he falls asleep and is revived quickly, but you get a quick scene where it's like, oh nope, you're still a horrible person, you got to weigh out this option, this, that, and it's
Yeah.
like I get it's not maybe Wes Anderson's style, but it would have flowed a lot better. And it also would have made more sense to understand, like, oh, this is 100% purgatory. Because I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's heaven. I don't know if it's hell. I don't know if it's purgatory. He didn't give any clear direction. It's just up to you as the viewer to make a guess, which I'm fine with in a movie. I love that style where
Yeah.
it's like it's up to the audience to speculate and come to their own conclusion of, oh, this is probably what this is. But when you do it like that, you don't know, and it just makes your film feel weird, and you don't know why it was necessary,
Yeah,
especially something like that.
it's one of those things where I do love to speculate in a movie. That's one of my favorite things, like speculating. It's like, I know this is a terrible example, but like Knives Out. It's a mystery movie, you're guessing the whole time. Or like
Sure,
a better example would be like
sure,
Sherlock Holmes trying to piece things together, like that mystery style. And this
sure.
was a mystery. And this wasn't a mystery movie, but this element of it was very clearly a mystery. But
Right,
with something like Sherlock Holmes, even though, yes, you do get a definitive answer anyway, there's enough logic puzzles that you can put together what happens before you're given the answer. With
right.
this, it kind of felt like you weren't supposed to be able to figure it out, maybe. Like, maybe
Sure.
it was purposefully so wacky and zany that you're not going to be able to figure it out and you're not going to find an answer to it. And I don't really like that all that much, to be honest. And I do agree that that was like the weakest portion of the movie, if I had to say one. Um, just because it didn't. I still now, like, retrospectively, I can be like, oh, well, they were weighing his character and things like that. But like, why were they doing it? When were they doing it? Like, you can say that those don't matter, but at the same time, like, I feel unsatisfied with not
Yeah,
having the answer. Like, sometimes you can feel satisfied not having an answer to questions. Like, that's totally fine. But with that specific one, because it felt like such a big part of the movie, not having an answer to it definitely kind of like, I guess, took me out of those scenes. Anytime they
right.
happened, I felt like I honestly paid less and less attention, because I was like, okay, at this point, I feel like I'm not going to understand what's happening here. I just want to get back to the other stuff.
No, I agree with you. And again, that's my only real complaint in the movie, because everything else I thought was really. This is why I do think it's better than Asteroid City. Like most everything in Asteroid City, I either just didn't get or I didn't really like it that much. I can understand why people like it because it's Wes Anderson and it is very well done, very well crafted. I just personally didn't like it. Here, everything is really well written and it's really, really fun. Even like the small moments. Like I wrote this down in my notes, but I specifically said, and I quote, Bryan Cranston smacks Tom Hanks' ass as a show of support randomly. Like
Yeah.
it's after he makes a shot and you don't expect it. It's dry, but you don't expect it to happen. It's he walks up, it's like a second bop. I'm like, what? When did you do? Why? But I'm also
Yep.
like, I guess good for you. Also, can we talk about the product placement in this movie for Hershey's and how Bryan Cranston's on the train and like I don't know what Tom Hanks is holding, but then Bryan Cranston's clearly holding a Hershey's chocolate bar, and I'm like, that's fantastic product placement for your movie because it makes total random nonsense
I didn't
work
even notice
so
it, to be
well.
honest, or at least I didn't remember it.
No,
So
I noticed it immediately because I was like, "Oh, it's Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston. This is gonna be great." And I'm like, "Is that a Hershey's bar? Why is he holding a Hershey's bar? He doesn't even take a bite of it in the entire scene. It's already like half eaten. He doesn't take a bite of it in the entire scene. He's just holding the Hershey's bar. I'm like, okay, are we gonna put this down? Are we gonna do something with her? No, okay, sounds good. That whole sequence though is really really funny and really well shot. Because you also know 100% they're not actually making those basketball shots. You know for a fact that they're probably on set and they probably digitally removed somebody to get out of the shot from catching the ball because it went somewhere completely different.
hey, who knows? Maybe they sat there for 3 days trying to make basketball shots. That'd be really
Well,
funny.
to be fair, Sam Raimi did it with Tobey Maguire in the first Spider-Man movie. It was like 165 takes, but they got the shot of him catching all the food on the lunch tray. So
Or another Bryan Cranston scene in Breaking Bad when he throws the pizza on the roof. That was him really throwing a pizza on the roof. And from what I heard, I think it took him a few takes.
it was unscripted. Nobody expected him to do it.
Really?
It
I thought
wasn't
that
scripted.
I
It was
heard
just
that was in the script and that it took a few takes. I guess I'm wrong.
no. From what I understand, it was an unscripted moment. They were like, "Get mad, throw the pizza." They didn't expect it to go on the roof, and it went on the
Okay.
roof. And then they're like, "Well, I guess we got to write this into the script now. Pizza's on the roof, okay." Or
Fair
maybe I
enough.
have it backwards. Maybe it was scripted, but nobody expected to get him on the first try, and he got it first try. That may
Okay.
have been what it
Okay.
was. It could have been.
But yeah,
It's one of the two. But continue. Sorry.
but yeah, no, again, it's moments like that that just settling a business debate over a basketball game, not necessarily something that couldn't happen in real life. People settle business. That's one of the reasons why
Oh,
we talk
sure.
about golf all the time. People make business deals over golf. People make business deals over the flip of a coin. But it is just
Right.
really funny the way it's if you're taking realistic elements, as in businessmen having a discussion over a game of hoops and betting on the game of hoops. Why are you in an abandoned mine shaft? Like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
obviously it makes sense for the plot, but it is one of those things where that's where you start to again bring in the real elements that could kind of happen and make them more absurdist. You have like, for instance, Scarlett Johansson's character, the cousin, the whole
Yeah.
proposal scene and how weird that was, where it's like he's marrying his cousin, but they're not getting married, but she's only doing a
Right.
business deal to marry the families, but then like
Right.
it's those things where again like certain elements of that do hold true whether modern times or historical times, but it's done in such
Sure.
a dry
Right.
yet zany way that it just feels good. Like I don't want to say feels good, but like you can enjoy the fact that it's happening.
Right. No, I hear you. And I guess I'll say this: of all the performance in this movie, and it's just because it is really similar to Asteroid City. Scarlett Johansson probably is my least favorite performance, mostly just because she's the least funny. Like I get, she's an important character to push the plot along, but again, when you have that dry character, and that's the point of the movie, and then you don't really do anything with her, and she's not even funny. Like I love Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston because of the fact that they were funny, and even though their characters pushed the plot along, but they had something to add, which is that even though they were dry, the characters were just fun to look at and laugh at because of all the absurdity they had on set.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright was kind of in the same thing where he pushes the plot along with this, but it's taking place during the blood transfusion, and he might drop a one-liner here or there or whatever. Even the robbers who robbed I don't know what it is. Is it a nightclub? Is that essentially what it is? A bar, nightclub?
It was an event, I think. I
Event,
don't know.
whatever you want to call it. Like even they were more entertaining and more funny and whatnot. Scarlett Johansson added nothing to me. You could have had any actress in that role and it would have gotten the same bit across. I'm happy it was her because, who doesn't like Scarlett Johansson in a movie? I really do. But it just didn't add anything. Again, I can't hate it because it didn't do anything wrong or it wasn't anything bad. It just didn't add anything for me.
Yeah. No, I get it. I enjoyed her presence on screen. I did laugh at her at during certain moments of her performance, but I can understand that when you have a movie with so many top tier actors, unfortunately, it's inevitable that one of their performances is going to be the worst. And I guess I would probably agree with you because it's not Michael Cera, it's not Jeffrey Wright. I think my favorite was Benedict Cumberbatch's performance.
Yeah.
His performance was hilarious. Now, granted, out of all of these clip scenes, he probably got maybe not the most screen time. I don't know. He was saved for the very, very end of the movie, but then he had a big sequence at the end of the movie with the most zany, ridiculous fight scene, one of the most ridiculous deaths in the movie.
Yeah.
Um,
I think he definitely had the shortest. No, he didn't have the shortest amount of runtime. He had probably the same as like Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, and Scarlett Johansson. He's just more memorable because, as you said, it's very artsy, it's very zany, it's very wacky, and the way all of it goes down and all of it happens, it's really funny. And then I think when you add Benedict Cumberbatch is just his voice and his face and his mannerisms, he in himself could be a meme in a comedy just because of how funny he is as a person.
yeah.
And so I think it works here very, very well. And for the small amount of time he is on screen, he does a fantastic job. You did bring up Michael Cera, and I want to talk about him quickly because I have a very weird history with Michael Cera as an actor. The first movie I ever watched him in was Superbad, which was almost 20 years ago in 2 years. Because it came out in 2007, which is a Seth Rogen comedy all about these two kids in high school trying to lose their virginity. That's the whole point of the movie. Michael Cera and Jonah Hill play a young Seth Rogen and a young his best friend Evan, Evan Goldberg, I think his last name is Goldberg. But they both write movies together in real life, and this is like a parody of their high school senior year before they go to college life. Really funny. Michael Cera in that movie is very different from the Michael Cera in this movie. Holy crap. First off, he's funny when he's the is it Bjorn? Jorn? What's
Bjorn.
the
It's Bjorn.
Bjorn? It is Bjorn. I thought it was Bjorn. When he starts off in the Bjorn presence, I'm like, oh, that's 100% Michael Cera. It's so funny. It's very accurate. Again, I know it's in the trailer, but it's one of my favorite sequences is when he leaves the room in the plane, and he comes back and goes, was this meant to be under here? I found this under the lunch trolley. How much time does it have? 18 minutes? Perfectly fine. We land in 10. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It's his delivery with it. I'm like, that's funny. Michael Cera's, I mean, it works because Michael Cera can play that type of a character where it's like, I found this under the lunch trolley. What do we do with this? I'm like, nope. I believed every second of that. And then I've also seen him obviously in Arrested Development when he played Jason Bateman's kid in the show. And he's done other stuff. He was in the Barbie movie. He played Alan and whatnot. This is the first time I've seen him play a role like this where I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of different from anything you've ever done. Like he starts off in the very Scott Pilgrim versus the World or very Superbad-esque character where he's very nerdy or he's very
he's very
what's the word?
standoff. For me, he's very like I've never seen Scott Pilgrim or Superbad. I haven't seen either of these movies, but he was very nerdy. He was brought on to be the insect professor
Yes.
for the kids, because apparently this family likes to learn one thing a month or whatever it was, and this month was insects. So Michael
Sure.
Cera was brought on as the insect expert. And I love how you have the lie detector test. You have he gets asked multiple times, "Are you a spy? Are you a traitor?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, there's
Yeah, he's totally a traitor. Like, he's
it's
going to betray.
it's the most easily guessable twist in the entire movie for me.
Sure.
But at the same time, I was not mad whatsoever that I was able to guess it. Like, I actually was like, no, they did this in such a hilarious way. Because it all gets revealed in the jungle after their plane crashes
Right.
again. And
Right.
you're having that whole scene with the daughter, the nun, and their whole like chemistry throughout the entire movie was also so funny to me. I feel like, again, it's a romance that should not work, but it is she is being corrupted over time. Like, honestly, a big
Sure.
part of this movie is Mia's character, the nun, getting corrupted, while also you have Del Toro's character, who's being not I don't want to say uncorrupted, but I guess they're both going towards each other's direction, I
Right.
guess. Like, they're both kind of becoming to a middle point where one's the extreme of being a nun or on the way to become a nun, and one's just an objectively terrible human being.
And then they're on
And
the
they're
same
kind of like,
trajectory. Right.
yeah, but
To
they
be
end up meeting in the middle where the objectively terrible person becomes slightly better over time, and the
yes.
non-super faith-filled person becomes a slightly worse person over time, and they kind of have that meet in the middle. And one of the big parts of that was Michael Cera's character after the reveal happens, and then
Yes.
you can see the romance slowly starting to corrupt in. And again, just like the rest of this movie, it's very dry. It's
Right.
not a romance that should work, but in the context of this movie, it works so well.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with you. And the idea of meeting in the middle is very different from just having one complete arc, and it's just one, one full character. It's just that and the other going the other direction. Like, both meeting in the middle. That's just uncommon nowadays in movies. You don't ever get that. But I also like it because it really shows how they feel like father and daughter again, in a certain sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, again, that's
they
why I feel
both.
like the ending of this movie was so perfect, is you have all this wacky, zany, and then the character turns at the end in the sense of, okay, we need all this money that needs to be put up. We don't know where we're going to
Yeah.
get this money from. I will drain everything, put this money up, and never get to see the fruits of my labor, essentially. Because from my understanding, essentially the reason why he never gets to see the fruits of his labor is because even though he's putting his own money forward of this, he's had to give away so big of a percentage to everyone else in order to convince them to go in on this deal with him, that he has nothing left to gain. He is at 0%
Correct.
at the end, both on his own money, but also on the percentage that he gets to keep. Because the only way he was able to convince everyone else to put more money in to be able to afford this big Phoenician scheme was giving them higher and higher percentages of the total revenue. And in the end, he gets nothing, even though this was all his idea and all his hard work. But in the beginning, he does not seem like a character who would be willing to do that. And then at the end, he realizes through the growth with his daughter that maybe I do need to step back. Maybe it is okay to do
Correct.
something not good. Like, that's the thing. Him building this whole thing isn't necessarily good. There are still people that are being hurt by the development of this. In fact, that's one of the
Right.
big things with, like, oh yeah, we use slavery and things like that. And his daughter's like, if I'm going to be involved, no slavery, no this, no that. Like, we can't cause a famine. And yes, they do it more ethically, but it still feels like he did something selfishly and then kind of realizes, okay, this is my last act. I'm gonna
Right.
step back and I'm gonna retire and let the terrible deeds that I have done throughout my entire life just
Sure.
go.
Sure. I don't know. I just, you know, the whole cast just worked so well with each other, and they're all very talented. They're all very uh, unique actors, and funny enough, some of the actors are unique in different fields. Like, I believe Jeffrey Wright and Tom Hanks working together. I never would have ever thought I'd ever see a day where Tom Hanks works with Bryan Cranston to play a comedy role and have it work. Like, that just does not.
Yeah, they're
It
playing like
surprises me.
to me, they're playing insinuated gay businessmen who like to play
Sure.
basketball, who are working
Yeah.
in a mine and are very morally not great because of the construction of that mine.
Even the way
It's
you're
just such a
struggling
wacky
to. No,
concept.
I know, and even the way you're like describing it, like I can even see the struggling phrase. Like, how do I describe? Like, how do I describe this?
Yeah,
Like,
like
it's really difficult.
it might be obvious to some people, but for me, it's like all of the characters, you don't get much time with them. You get exactly what you need though. You get the right amount of depth. It leaves just enough information at your fingertips to allow
Sure.
you to get exactly what you need, no more, no less. Again, I think the only thing where you get the less is those scenes with William Dafoe in the purgatory area where you do need a little more. But other than that,
Right.
like every other scene, it is just long enough. Nothing overstays its welcome. It wraps up in a very, very conclusive way where I think the only other thing, and again, I don't think this was necessarily weak, but I feel like it was really good, and then I felt like it just kind of disappeared from the movie, was whenever they'd switch to the businessmen around the round table.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I liked how it was used to set up the movie, and I like how it was used to show the manipulation of what's going on, and obviously,
Yeah.
like, the raising of screw prices and things like that. Like, I really enjoyed that.
Sure.
They're
Right.
clearly the ones who sent Michael Cera's Bjorn there undercover.
Right.
Um, but then they kind of just disappear for like a big chunk. And look, I'm not saying were necessary. They played their role well. It was just interesting, I guess.
No,
I
I get
don't
you.
really need more or less, but if we had to talk about things that weren't like at the top list of the best moments, it would really be the round table with the businessmen and then the purgatory area, both serving the purposes they needed to serve and not necessarily being bad by any means, but they're not necessarily the best of this movie, I
No, but
guess.
I do think that the round table made a lot more sense than the purgatory, though. Like,
Oh yeah.
at least
Oh yeah, it
it
definitely
made
made more sense.
it at least made more sense, and you can understand why it's there. But I feel like both those were also added. Like, I can't say that they were added because of it, but they almost feel like filler. Like, because, oh, this is how much plot we actually have. We need to fill the runtime. Let's add something here to spice it up. That's what the
Yeah.
purgatory feels like, especially because of how sporadically thrown in different areas and how across it is. And the round table, in a certain sense, feels the same way, but also that's more evenly placed in the right spots where it should be placed. I think there's only one instance where it really is just kind of out of place, but most of the time it's all in the right order of what you want and need for it to be.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Again, it was just weird to me that it felt like they just like disappeared, I guess. Like we did kind of get an ending with them, if I remember correctly, but it wasn't like I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Do you have anything else you want to say? I'm not saying we need to wrap this up, but I do know you need to leave at 12:30. So,
No, funny enough, I actually don't. It's kind of perfect because I really don't have much more to say. I'll go and give my final thoughts here, and I'll let you, because I know you really enjoy this movie. I love this movie. I think it has a potential to win a lot of awards this year. I think it is genuinely one of the best from good old Wes Anderson. I love the cast as a whole. It works very well. Outside of, I think, maybe Scarlett Johansson's the only exception, and she's not even bad in the movie. It's just that you could have put anybody else in there, and it would have gotten the same. It would have gotten the same thing across.
Mhm.
Purgatory scenes and some of the round table scenes, just as a whole, I just were like, doesn't really feel needed. Round table made sense. Purgatory didn't. only real negatives of the movie. The comedy was there. I laughed so hard at various sections. And as a whole, like, this is one I probably will watch again, unlike Asteroid City, where I've just had no want or care to revisit, or like French Dispatch, where I have had no care at all to revisit. On the whole, go watch this movie if you haven't watched it yet, especially if you're a Wes Anderson fan. This is a film that is at least deserved to be watched once, even if you're not a big artsy person, because you can enjoy this film.
Yeah, no, to wrap up my thoughts, for being my first Wes Anderson movie, like true Wes Anderson movie, I feel like a perfect introduction to the style that he brings to the table, the uniqueness that he has as a cinematographer, as a director, as a writer. I feel like, again, all the actors brought their A game. It was a very different performance than I've ever seen any of these actors in before. They all brought their own unique skills to the table. Again, like Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks are comedy actors, and they obviously brought that to the table, but there was still something unique about the way that they played their characters that I feel like was different than what I've seen before, but is also something that only they could have pulled off for me. And I felt like for a lot of the characters, again, like even like Michael Cera's character, I don't necessarily disagree with you on the Scarlett Johansson one. I feel like she was the only one that wasn't necessarily unique in her performance, but I don't think she did a bad job by any means.
No.
There were multiple moments throughout the course of this movie where I like laughed out loud. There were multiple moments where I'd laugh out loud and just not know what's going on. Like, or I'd laugh at the absurdity of the moment. Like I'd like point to the screen to the invisible audience. There were like, I think like 5 other people that saw I can't remember how full it was, but it wasn't very full. But like I'd laugh at how zany it was and then like point to the screen and be like, oh, that was insane. Like I can't believe they just did that, but I love that they just did that.
Right.
It makes me want to see more Wes Anderson films. I'm not sure where I'm going to go with it, but if he releases another movie or I have time on my hands in my very busy schedule, like I do want to watch another Wes Anderson movie if this is the way that Wes Anderson movies are.
Right.
I think that this is going to, again, this is a very competitive year so far. But this is almost definitely going to be in my top 10. I don't know about top 5, but definitely in my top 10. Speaking of which, Superman is my friend's favorite movie of the year. The one that I saw the second time with. Granted, he hasn't seen F1 yet, my favorite movie of the year.
And he clearly hasn't seen Sinners yet, because that's my favorite movie of the year. But, you know,
he hasn't seen Sinners either. He's not a film buff. I'm trying to convince him to get to the AMC A-list since we go to AMC's together, and he said he might. So maybe he'll start joining me for more movies finally. But anyways, with Phoenician Scheme, it was a really fun time. I wouldn't say unexpected. It was unexpected how much I enjoyed this movie, I guess. But yeah, that is our Phoenician Scheme review. Next week, Carson, my most anticipated movie of the year comes out. Fantastic Four First Steps. We will
wait.
We'll be yapping.
Say that again.
Fantastic Four First Steps.
No. That one word again. Say it again. It's what?
Fantastic.
Guys, I got it. Are you ready? Oh God. That whole meme lives in my head rent free. We are going to be joking about that so many times next week.
I have seen one thing. Luckily I knew in advance that the social embargo for people that saw the movie already was up. I believe it was Friday or Saturday. So I knew to be careful when going online. So anytime I saw any post about Fantastic Four, I avoided it. I did see one thing, and I am going to say that one thing. And that is, apparently, according to whatever reviewer this was, it was just a tweet that popped up on Instagram, is we are not ready for this movie. And that makes me so unbelievably excited because again, they have not made a good Fantastic Four movie. They objectively have not. They've made not abhorrent ones. It's not all of them are fan-4-stick.
Yeah, but
But
Fan4 is pretty abhorrent. Like if you had the option and it was watch the original 2005 Fantastic Four or watch Fan4-stick, I'm taking 2005
oh yeah, any day,
Fantastic Four.
any day.
If you were held at gunpoint and said watch Fan4-stick or die, you know, I think I can go to heaven a little sooner because I will not sit through Fan4-stick again. That was bad
because we just got Superman, and Superman has had multiple renditions, both animated, on screen, in writing, and a lot of people, and honestly, including myself, are saying this is the best Superman movie of all time. We're probably about to get that with Fantastic Four. Now, I feel like the bar was a lot higher with Superman than it is for Fantastic Four.
The bar is a lot higher. And I think that the question that, especially after the film comes out and as the weeks go on into the summer, before we do, you know, maybe we do like a quick ranking on, you know, the summer blockbusters that came out later in like the 3-minute shorts, is Fantastic Four going to be better than Superman? Like, that's genuinely going to be the question.
Again, for me personally, I am more excited to watch this movie than Superman. Again, I walked out of Superman. Granted, my second time I enjoyed it a lot more than my first time, but I still gave it like an 8. I'd give it like an 8.85, even though we don't rank things. Like, I still really enjoyed Superman. Fantastic Four is one of those like franchises that I don't know why I want it to be so good, but like, I guess that's the only thing I'm afraid of going into this movie, is not necessarily that my expectations are so high, but my excitement is so unbelievably high that I don't want to be let down. Like, I try not to go into the movie too excited, but I just can't help myself with Fantastic Four. Like, everything I've seen of this movie, especially with, spoiler alert for Thunderbolts, the end credit scene of Thunderbolts, with seeing the Fantastic Four coming to Earth. It's not 616, it's 1080 or something like that. I can't remember the number.
Whatever it is,
but our modern current, like, why? What does that mean? Are we gonna have a crossover during the Fantastic Four movie? My theory, and if they do this and they pull it off well, I think this will be one of my favorite superhero movies of all time, is that they're not going to save their world.
Yeah.
I don't think the Fantastic Four is going to save their world. And if they do that well and they pull that off, that is going to be a phenomenal Fantastic Four movie for me.
I mean, well, even if they, like, here's the thing, they can all, like, and this is the thing I've thought about, because we theorized a lot about Fantastic Four. If they do save their world, I'm not going to be disappointed. You just have to handle it well, because I think, and this is the problem that my friend had with Thunderbolts, is that if he felt like there weren't any stakes towards the end, because the moment Yelena went into Sentry's, I don't know what it's not what do you actually call it? Darkness blip.
Void.
I don't know what. Void. Thank you, Void. When Yelena goes into the Void, he immediately turned and said, "Okay, so they're gonna save the day by like fighting him, and she's actually gonna be okay. There's no stakes." Because he originally was like, "Oh my god, everybody's dying," and then the moment Yelena was in, is like, "No, everybody's coming back." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's a superhero movie. What did you expect? Like, they weren't gonna save the day?"
Exactly.
Like, I'm sorry, but like,
that, like, in Superman, did you expect him to not close the rift? Like I don't know. For me, I don't have, like, if they do save the day, I would still think that it would be a phenomenal. Still think that they could do that and make it a phenomenal movie. However, the only other movie in the MCU to ever have a not happy ending and pull it off, and it is one of the best, some people's best MCU movie of all time, is Infinity War. With you snap all the characters away, and obviously you know they're going to come back, but you don't know how, you don't know what's going to happen. That could be something very similar to what they can do with Fantastic Four in terms of the style of ending that this movie can possibly have. Again, this is all theories. We do not know any of this for certain. I am staying away from early reviews. I'm not even going to watch Koi's review of this before I see the movie. But I can say this is my most anticipated movie of the year. Anyways, that is next week's problem. We will ramble on for way too long about that movie. I already know. I am so excited. But Carson,
5-hour special podcast with Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Yeah, no. Can't wait to go outside and work some more when we're done with this podcast. It's gonna be great.
I can't wait to eat
Right.
lunch. I'm hungry.
Oh, I'm about to do that too. Yeah, I'm gonna do that quickly before we go do stuff outside.
Yeah. But yeah, that will be all for this week's episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast, episode 20. Carson, we've been doing this for 20 weeks. Not missed a week. We've been late, but we've never missed a week. That is insane. Here's to 20 more, here's to 40 more, here's to 1,000 more. We won't live for 1,000 more, but still.
We won't.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast. You can find us on all podcast hosting platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, at Nerdy Nimrods. You can find us on all social media platforms: Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, at Nerdy Nimrods. We post our 3-minute reviews. I'm talking about a lot of summer anime. Carson will hop in there every once in a while to talk about wrestling, Marvel, whatever he feels like. We'll have games on there sometimes. So give us a follow. Yeah. With that being said, thank you for listening. And as always, stay nerdy.